Welcome to episode 1 of Savage Discourse.
Woo!
It's a me, John.
It's a me, Kyle.
It's John and Kyle, and we're here for the first legitimate episode of Savage Discourse.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you may have heard our pilot episode that we sent out to people because we wanted feedback on our raw nugget.
Mm-hmm. Sent out a couple beta codes.
Some beta codes. Sent out some beta, yeah. And you got free trial access to the initial pilot, which was rough and raw. But we got a lot of really good feedback from people that we care about and we love. Some of it was barbed. Some of it was hard to hear.
Mostly just don't eat motts while podcasting.
Yeah, don't eat. Try to stay away from anything phallic in your explanations and definitions. And
so this might be about a 5-minute podcast. That's about all we got.
That's literally the core. That's the core content that we have. But anyway, so thank you to I just want to formally, depending on how far along this goes, thank you for those of you who are part at the ground level. And away we go with episode 1 of Savage Discourse. So for those of you who weren't there for the pilot, you know, the point of this show is the point of these I don't know, it sounds pretentious to call it a show. Did you think? I'm gonna go ahead and put my monocle on and put up my top hat.
I mean, it's a cast.
It's a cast. You don't call them shows?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like a show has. No, I guess a show doesn't have to have video.
No, like the radio shows in like the 50s and before, like, you know, the It Came from Outer Space or whichever, like do you even know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Okay. There was a radio. This is a great first.
Oh, okay.
There was a, there was a radio show, and I think it was the 40s or 50s. It may have been before. Please feel to correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to correct me. There was a broadcast on the radio that everyone listened to on one of like the big famous most popular channels of a space invasion, and it was fiction. It was science fiction.
Oh, that's War of the Worlds.
Yeah, it was that. But they played it, and they played it on the radio. And nobody knew, and like, so everyone was listening to it thinking it was a genuine newscast, and there was mass hysteria and craziness.
Yeah.
And, so, you know, it's just circling back. Hopefully we don't engender mass hysteria and chaos, but I'm hoping that we can harness some of that energy.
Yeah. I mean, if we did, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
No, it really wouldn't. And speaking of worst things in the world, it's been a while.
Since what, John?
Since we've been outside, Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
Since we've seen anything outside, since we've done anything of value external to my domicile, since I haven't driven sweat stains into my bed from just laying there.
It's been rough. I forgot what it's like out there.
You know, every now and then I go to the window and I look outside and I breathe condensation on the window, and then I draw an unhappy face with a tear coming down. And that helps me stay sane and helps me stay motivated.
That's good. I don't know if I'm really going outside any less now that I'm not allowed to, but it just feels bad, you know, now that I don't have a choice.
It feels like you're upsetting some great figure, like, you know, that you're not supposed to. When you go outside for your humanity, you fear repercussion.
Yeah. I mean, more so that I didn't really go outside that much before, but now that I just can't, it's I want to.
Oh, dude, I know about that so much. It's like when I was younger. I think I told the story the other day. My mom used to do step aerobics, where she would step up and down onto a platform to like a VHS, one of those 80s, 90s, you know, videos where they're, you know, there's a down, like, come on, keep it up, and you know. So she was doing that, and I was younger, and so I would sneak cold hot dogs out of the refrigerator, and because I felt like. So the other thing you have to know about
what? You'd sneak cold hot dogs out of the refrigerator.
So
I don't see how that's related.
Okay, I'm not done.
I'm sorry.
I'm in the throes.
I thought you were going off on it. All right.
No, this
sorry.
is you got to follow the 3-step, the storytelling. Like this is the first. I'm setting the stage.
Oh, okay.
And so the call to action of the second phase, the crescendo to the climax, is that I would eat them in the room, staring at my mom eating hot dogs, and she would be like, "John, if you want a snack, you can ask me." And like the fact that I was given permit. Well, I guess this is the opposite. The fact that I was given permission made me want to hide it even more, I guess. Yeah, I can see how it doesn't track. I can see how it doesn't map.
Yeah,
on.
now at the end of the story, I'm just as confused as at the beginning.
Okay, so anyway, we have been in day. I think this is day let's see, it's July 20th.
About 400 now, right?
Has it been? Let me check the wall scratchings that I've done on the with a rock on the wall. Yeah, I think that's about there. I think we're several almost 100+ days into what everyone knows. We're not going to bring it up. We're not going to say it. So we're going to call it the C word. I don't think there's anything else that it occupies that space. So we should be okay.
No.
Oh, okay, cool. We got the quality check, got the verified. That is a domain that is not in use, so we're going to take the C word. We're not going to call it that, but we are today in kind of the general theme of what we hope to accomplish with this showcast. Podcast. I still want to refer to it as a show.
They call it a show then.
It's not really a show in the traditional. There's no variety elements, like there's not singing, dancing, tuxedoed.
Is that what it takes to be a show? Were there tuxedos on the Space Invasion cast?
I'm not going to lie. I think more testing is needed. I think that the thespians and the theater kids of the world need to come together in a conglomerate and definitively say what determines a show and what isn't.
Okay.
So what we want to talk about today, and throughout is health and psychology and just kind of just being a better person, I suppose, and from the throne, from the seat of our own experience. It's really hard to not sound pretentious when you say throne. You talk about you're just like, oh, I know. You sound awful.
I mean, I don't have a throne.
He's just more of like a lawn chair.
If that.
So
just sit on a pillow on the floor.
Oh, see, and that's much more. I like that much more. So, something that something that was really tough for me when this initially started, I was actually on my way. The C word. I was actually on the way out of a job that I had held for 2.5 years, a job that I loved, but due to a multitude of factors, I decided that it was time for something new. So, I went on to the next thing, and part of, I guess that next thing was being unemployed indefinitely. So I put in my 30 days, and then the C word happened, and so so the initial first month, and you can tell me what your experience was, but my initial month was, I loved it. It was like, I am 20, I'm 30. Wow. I don't know if time makes sense to me anymore. I'm 31 and I have not been unemployed for that amount of time since I think I was maybe 16. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And so for me, the unemployment was amazing. The job that I had as a clinical supervisor at this company, required, there's no, in the mental health industry, there's kind of this unspoken mantra, not even a mantra. It's kind of this rule that you're not a 9 to 5. Like you never were, you never will be. You are always going to be required and to put in more work. And that's okay, because the people that work in that industry, the amazing people that do, that have so much to give, they're, mostly we give it. We know that if we don't give it, that, there's someone's going to fall through the cracks. So, so anyway, it felt so amazing to have that weight lifted. I was no longer required to be anywhere. There was no more plans to write. There was no expectations. I was finally able to kind of to retreat back into my id and become, free again. I was able to let that inner child out and really just kind of, touch base with all things. I was drawing again. I was writing again. I was playing guitar more frequently. I was really in touch with the kind of creative aspects, excuse me, of myself. And That was really amazing. And so, and then everything changed about a month after. I had a run-in with my old arch nemesis, crippling anxiety.
Ooh.
So that was my experience in my first month. I think yours wasn't as long, but what was it like whenever the C word came to town for you?
What do you mean it wasn't as long? Like it wasn't off as long?
Yeah.
Oh, I was off for like two or 3 months, I think.
Oh, really?
I think.
Oh,
Wait.
that's right. Yeah.
Wait, has it only been 100 days? How long has it been for real?
So it is now July 20th, and the last time that I remember working was in March. So March, April, June. Yeah, I would say close to 100 days.
Okay, so maybe I was off 2 months.
Not longer.
But no, pretty much the same. Like I've been at my job for a while. I work at like a ropes course sort of adventure park place, and I've been doing it for a long time. And I mean, it's an okay job.
6 years.
Yeah,
that's an amazing chunk of your life.
Yeah. So it was decent for a while, but I mean, I was just getting more and more burnt out, and I could feel it. So C word.
We're gonna edit that out. No, it's okay. We'll bleep. we'll put like an alert sound over it.
Anyway, it was a welcomed break for me because I mean it was fine. Like I'm pretty good at being introverted if I need to be. I just I can do that if I need to be. I used to be super introverted, so it was a nice little change of pace. And I mean we were getting together in small groups and hanging out like less than 5 people, following the guidelines.
Yeah,
but
the C words and explicit guidelines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was good for me. I enjoyed it while it lasted. I was making more money than I ever made in my life. It's the best. Being unemployed is the best career I've ever had.
You were the pauper king. You
know.
you were living in royalty and as a regal while in rags.
Yeah, it was great.
It was wonderful.
It was fantastic. And then I got the blessing of a call that we were reopening, and I went back for exactly 2 weeks and quit.
Oh man, I mean, and that's good.
Yeah,
and we're gonna talk about that. But that's actually a good thing.
Yeah. So now I'm on my second quarantine. But yeah, it's. I'm gonna
bleep you. I'm gonna bleep that one out too.
Wait, that's not a.
It has the phonetic pronunciation of a
that's
C word.
That's a Q.
Quarantine.
I think that's okay.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
All right. You're embarrassing me.
Oh my God, you said you wouldn't do this. So, okay, good. Well, and so for the turning point for me was I remember waking up and just laying in bed, which, before I would lay in bed for, this is going to sound bad now in retro, like when hearing it, but for hours, and I would just read, I would be on my phone, I'd play games, it was this vacuum of responsibility and this vacuum of anything pressing, or there's no urgency, there's no exigency, everything. I was external to everything that really seemed to matter. So I was just kind of doing my own thing. And then I remember waking up one day and then that old familiar specter popped back into my sympathetic nervous system and reminded me that I'm mortal and that I'm having an extreme existential crisis, and that if I wanted to continue the life that I had hitherto enjoyed, I needed to do something. And it was and I say that jokingly, but it was, and I know you and I have talked about, actually you were one of the most helpful voices that I had during this time, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And it was it was tough. It was very tough. I was having anxiety, panic attacks nearly every day, all day long. And if it wasn't generalized, if it wasn't an acute anxiety reaction, I was having anticipatory anxiety about when I was going to have the next one. And they were generalized. They were coming from nowhere. There was no real antecedent. There was no real seemingly trigger, which, most anxiety, episodes typically have a pretty identifiable trigger. For a lot of people, but for general anyway. But the big trigger is that the C word. We can't go anywhere. We can't do anything. The job that I had held in the career that I'd been in for 5 years, I no longer occupied in that seat, and so I didn't have meaning. I didn't have purpose. As the philosophers call teleology, there was no purpose. I was adrift, and that's how I felt, and it was awful. And my thoughts played all day, every day, and you were there for some of them, and just that. It was just, I felt empty, and I felt like, nothing mattered, and that, every day was Groundhog Day in the worst sense. And that's not very healthy. Feeling that way.
Not at all.
And prior in my life, I had been, actually, since I was about 14, 15, I had been attending therapy. And I assume that it was cognitive behavior therapy or some in the domain of psychoanalysis, either cognitive behavior therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, or dialectical behavior. Probably not dialectical, but and I really benefited from that. And so, you learn those skills, and then your anxiety, you manage it. But then, in the absence of anything that keeps you tethered, in the absence of your purpose and your drive and your motivation and your reason for getting out of bed, that all comes crashing back like it did on me. And that's how I experienced it anyway. I'm sure a lot of people, maybe don't feel that way at all. And I didn't expect to be one of those people, not at all. I always, if you had told me at 16 or 18 years old that at some indeterminate time in the future, you would have nothing to do for months at a time, I probably would have, how can I say this? I probably would have crapped my pants out of happiness.
Yeah.
I would have been. I was trying to think of a more hilarious metaphor or illusion, but I couldn't think of one.
Yeah, we're not allowed to be phallic.
Exactly,
anymore.
That's the thing. Thank you for that feedback, those of you. You're neutering my creativity.
The censors.
Yeah, the censor, big brother and big sister.
Big censor.
Big censor. So anyway, you would have told me that I would have probably, it would have melted my brain at that time, because I wouldn't have known that, I would have felt so happy and liberated. But anyway, so yeah, that was my experience. Mm-hmm. Did you experience anything like that that tale of soul crushing and did that kind of depravity?
Well, kind of. It's weird. So you were going through that. I was having a great time the whole time. Like I knew I was burnt out on my job. I knew I was going to be leaving soon. I just didn't really have a plan yet, and then all this happened. So I was like, okay, cool. I might not ever go back. And so then you started going through that. We talked about it a lot. You started like coming through to the other side, and then I was dating a girl during all this, and then right around the end of the first part of it, right before all this stuff reopened.
The first C word.
Yeah. I'm not even going to say that because I'll mess it up. She decided to move back to another state where she was from. So I was kind of going through my own sort of soul-crushing moment, but it wasn't really C-word related. It was...
I guess you could say that it kind of was.
What do you mean?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's only one domain. Yeah. No. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't... What are you talking about? It has nothing to do with this disease. Anyway.
I was saying C word in the sense that we're alluding that doesn't exist.
I know.
Well, okay.
Anyway. But no hard feelings. But at the time, definitely hard feelings. I was going through it too, like any sort of breakup. But honestly, it was kind of a good thing. Like the timing was actually perfect because work opened back up right when that was happening, so it actually gave me something to do rather than just dwell on it. So the timeline kind of worked out perfectly for me because I got a couple months off of everything, just did whatever I wanted, and then right when I needed something to distract me, work opened back up, and then right when I got to the point where I was moving on, I just quit work. So kind of just flowed right through it.
Well, that must have been I was going to make a joke, but honestly, I think, my coping strategy for dealing with heartache and heartbreak is not really healthy. It's to retract all my social connections and kind of become a self-sufficient kind of like miasma in my room, where I'm just this bundle of raw and unhelpful ruminations and ideations and feelings and replaying snippets and things. So I think having something to do, even if it was during the C word, and it was obviously better to have not had that job because of the financial boon there. It probably was helpful in some sense.
Yeah, I've gotten better at that. I used to do that all the time, just sit with my thoughts, but I hung out with friends as much as I could during that.
You sure did.
Yeah, it was great.
I've been for that. I've been for that.
And yeah, so yeah, like I said, work was a nice distraction for a while, and then I started focusing on that again. Realized I was miserable, and left. Very recently,
which is good.
Yeah,
which is good. And so, and we're going to circle around to that. So, I mean, and then that kind of opens up the bigger conversation point here for this first episode, which is that, there are events in life which are completely, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, and like most philosophers and writers and anyone who cogitate or who thinks about the mind and the role and the nature of reality, is that we are literally at the behest of endless amounts of forces that we have no control over.
Mm-hmm.
Truly. We're just kind of awash in this river that we're born into, that we mature into, and that we eventually, bash and are battered into nothingness against the rocks of, to put it.
Yeah, and somehow when you first realize that, it's you kind of have an existential crisis, and then as you get more comfortable with that, somehow it's very relieving.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's true, and that's actually a great point, because I think that for me, and I know that in a lot of the tomes I have perused, a lot of people.
On your throne.
Oh, I did this to myself. There's always this more the throes of mortality, and recognizing and putting in a sheer relief the mortality we have, and the real lack of control over a lot of things, is terrifying. And it was for me for a lot of my life, and obviously we'll get into some of that and maybe some later episodes, that really helped me cope with that and identify that. But one of the things that I know is my trigger for these type of existential crises and moments of, oh my God, who am I? What am I doing? I'm just taking up resources. I'm just living day to day. Nothing makes sense. I'm not contributing to any great iterative process in my life that makes me better, that makes anything in this world better. That's one of those triggers for that, is feeling trapped. Is feeling like there's nothing to do. I can't do anything. I can't escape from a situation. And what I've recently over the last few years, and especially recently over the last few months, when I've gone back into that kind of bunker of therapeutic reading into psychoanalytic theories and treatment modalities of the mind and different ways to do that, is that it's all pretty. It evaporates as soon as you cast your awareness on it. It's just mental, and it's unfortunate that it takes us a long time to realize something that doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Well, not that. Sorry, let me rephrase that. It does exist. It's a real thing, but it's one of those things that it's a phenomenon from a lot of different biological and factors and external variables that create this illusion of, oh my God, this is how things are, and they're not different than that.
Yeah, it is. It kind of sucks that it does take a while to understand it, but I mean, there's some people that never understand it, like there's people I'm sure in their 50s and 60s with extreme anxiety, just never tried to get over it.
Yeah. Well, and for my case, like maybe they have, and they have not found the salve for their mind yet.
Because I'm sure it's different for everyone. There's not a one. You can't just say a phrase to someone and they're good.
Exactly. No, and so here's an interesting kind of interesting factor that people in the field and people in mental health services and in the helping community really understand. From a therapeutic perspective, the most salient variable, and that as it relates to the outcomes of a potential case or treatment is the relationship you have with that therapist. And so what a lot of people will do is they'll try it and then it won't work for them because they think, and then so they have one bad experience, because not all therapists are created equally, and especially in my field, you know, in every field there's a diverse array of experiences and histories and learning histories, and not everyone is going to fit, you know, with everybody. And so you have people that will try it and they will, you know, let's say you're let's say you're a young woman and you get a really old school 1950s kind of old man.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and his rhetoric is one of, you know, well, your problems are because, and I'm creating a straw man. I don't really think this person exists. But, you know, the point is that, you know, not everyone finds what they need, and even people try, and it has a very punitive and punishing effect on them. You know, to try to reach for that bobbing. What is that? The thing that they throw to people who fall overboard. That kind of ship. What is that thing called?
It's not an oar.
It's not an oar.
It's not an anchor.
No, definitely not an anchor. Hopefully not an anchor.
I don't think you're talking about a life jacket.
A life it is okay. So we're gonna call it that. So the life preserver ring. Thank you, Kyle. I forgot.
Had to work through that.
Oh yeah, we made it though, buddy. The life preserver ring. You know, and just to, you know, to not be able to get it, or when they get it, they do find out it's an anchor, and you know that so I understand that's got to be tough. And so anyway, the point is there are moments in life where there's a lot of in life, and especially in acute moments where we literally have a modicum, if even that might even be too much to say, of control. And the C word is definitely one of those. And for me, it's created this catalyst, this grinder, this kind of this mortar and pestle where I am the herbs in the mortar getting ground up, and of really determining, okay, what am I doing here? Why am I doing? What do I want to do? When I have infinite time to cogitate and to think about and meditate on my own existence and my own life and my own contribution to being a better person, helping other people's lives, helping the world be better, just generating goodness and being a good person. What do I want to do with that? And what am I doing? And has what I have done and been up to this point been the direction that I want to go in?
Yeah. And
I think the answer that a lot of people find, especially in their 30s, from a great book called Passages by Gail Sheehy, is that in 30s, basically, your 20s are trying to determine, you're free, you got some freedom, you're out there. But then your 30s, you really start to all your habits, all your ideas, all your rituals, everything that you've built across your ontogeny, which means, your lifespan, your history, everything becomes cast into, everything is then put under the microscope. At least it was for me. And, I think that these moments that we have little control over can be very incredibly not the beginning.
No.
Especially not at the beginning. Especially not, if you go to therapy and someone's like, I'm going to put you in your house for 90 days with no explanation, and you can't do anything, you can't leave, and don't try to go anywhere. Or maybe terrible things will happen to you. It
might not be over in 90 days, just so you know, but you won't know.
and you're not, and only not that. Yeah, there's no time limit on this. Don't do anything, and check in with me and tell me how you feel. You would obviously not feel there would be no therapeutic value to that, but there's a cognitive. I think that this is one of those times in life where you really get to you're at center stage, and everything is on an array around you, and you can really pick and choose, okay, what am I doing? Why? What is this? Why is this? Mm-hmm. Where is it going? What am I going to do? And so this is the second part that I think Kyle and I really wanted to talk about, as I at length have created the introduction for.
It's still the intro.
This is welcome to episode 1 of Savage Discourse. This is what is known as introception.
Oh,
you see what I did there?
I do.
We got to go deeper, Kyle.
We got to go deeper. Gotta go deeper, John.
I don't even know if it's already passé to make that kind of joke, but because mimetic culture of Inception.
Oh,
I think that was the internet had its heyday with that.
I'll get it.
Okay. So good. So, so I guess what we wanted to talk about was in those moments where everything becomes chaos and everything is thrown to the winds and nothing, you're shook at your foundation of everything, and the thing is, we are cognitively, outside of sleep and intoxicants that cause different states of mind, we are just one big stream of consciousness. Mm-hmm. So, we really are everything that we think we are, and everything that we do, and everything that we say, and everything that we have done, we really become. So, I outside of the punctuations of that consciousness, I mean, we really are just this stream of activities and habits. And I think it's really easy to continue those with the path of least resistance and just continue doing those. So what I think that, where I'm coming from, what we want to talk about is, again, I'm sorry, is these are great moments to change your life. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
These are really there's a catalyst in here. There's now chemical process called where everything gets melted down, and then the reddening happens. Which the reddening is this alchemical process where it becomes this new thing where it's still inchoate, but it's this new burning thing, and that's when you determine. And so. Part of becoming that is developing or honing, even for a lot of people who maybe have the rudiments of these skills, or maybe even very practiced and want something new, some skills to help them to deal with this.
Yeah, definitely. Basically, like what you said, it's a pretty interesting time with obviously there's a whole lot of bad happening with the C word. It's
just a little bit.
It's if it hasn't affected you personally, besides just having to stay at home, there's a lot of benefits to be gained if you can just kind of focus on it. I think this. I mean, if you use this time right and look back on it, this could be like a major turning point in a lot of people's lives. Because I've noticed just from my friends, a couple of them, like almost everyone was not like super happy with life and work, but after this happened, everyone's kind of realizing that they're not doing what they want to be doing, and it's time to kind of figure it out. So,
yeah, who do you know like that, Kyle?
Huh?
Who do you know like that?
I made it up. I don't know anyone.
Do you think they could be in the same room as you?
No.
Oh,
I don't know anyone.
Thank God you just avoided an entire episode for me of neuroses. Thank you.
That was rough.
Yeah, and I think that the mind is so much more powerful, and that's what we can talk about first. That's a good segue, is meditation. The mind is a tool and is a muscle. And, the mind is what the brain does. If you're going to take a monist perspective on that, there's a dualist perspective, which is a separation of the body and soul. But I tend to vary on the more hardline area. I like that it's the mind is what the brain does, because it's an epiphenomenon of consciousness, and it's a tool, and it's this incredible thing that we kind of just let run wild. We kind of don't teach or discipline. We kind of just let it, and I don't really like the D word, but it's something that we don't really, because it's hard for me to be the D word.
It's still a word though. You gotta use it.
I know. And so what I think is really helpful is meditation. And there's a really great guess what, I'm just gonna plug it, and whatever will happen, but there's a great app that my buddy Kyle here turned me on to by an author that I really, really love and have multiple books of and subscribe to the podcast of, Sam Harris. And he actually has a podcast, and I don't know if it started around the same time as his book came out, Waking Up.
The podcast?
Yeah.
I think it did.
Okay.
I think so. I don't listen to his podcast, but I've read the book and the app, obviously.
His podcasts are so good.
Is it?
So good.
We should listen to that.
Okay. And I think it came out, and so anyway, he actually as a recent convert to mindfulness, and he actually studied. The thing is, he's not just another guy who is in the realm of noetics, in the realm of mindfulness. He actually went and studied over in I don't remember exactly. He says it in the book. He actually studied for weeks. He did silent retreats for weeks and months at a time. So this is a guy who legitimately. There's an app called
Waking Up.
Thank you. Called Waking Up by Sam Harris, and I believe if you get referred by a friend, it's 30 days free if you start it. But he also said at the end of I have not been doing them every day, which so my streak went down. I had a 3 streak, and I kind of had a 5 streak, but I'll get it next time.
You've ruined your mindfulness.
I am unmindful. I'm mindful now. I am without my mind. So anyway, he says that if you write into him and you say that you can't pay, because I think it's $100 for 12 months, so it's like $8 or $9 a month.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, and so basically, it's guided meditation and it's daily, and each lesson kind of opens and then dovetails into the next one with his own intro and outro, and it's incredibly helpful. I've been using it; it's incredible. I've thanked my buddy here multiple times for it, but. There's obviously, when you think of meditation, it doesn't have to be I'm going to achieve enlightenment. I'm not going to achieve enlightenment. I'm not going to achieve nirvana. A lot of people, I think, and you hear a lot of people say this, especially when you do any type of reading or anything on this matter, that everyone thinks that meditation is this immediately transcendent thing.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna sit down and you're gonna astral project.
Yeah, the very stereotypical view where you sit with your fingers like
making the
circles
okays,
going,
the okie dokies.
Home. That's not what it is.
And that's a type of yoga, I would assume, and it's a type of meditation where that can be helpful, but that takes a lot of D word and it takes a lot of work, and obviously it's a goal that that anyone can work towards, and that's the beauty of this practice, is that anyone can do it anytime, anywhere. Obviously, it's easier to do it in your own home under guided consultation, but. So anyway, meditation for me has been a real lifeline. It has been the basic goal outside of the lofty, I think, expectations that people have who are a little bit newer to it or don't really know much about it is, the beauty of it is that it's really to clear your mind. It's to keep your mind open to anything and everything new as it's unfolding. Yeah. There's no rumination. There's no, holding on to, there's no recursivity. There's no, I'm going to keep thinking about things I've done and the person I am and the one I want to be over, until I get there. It's very much, okay, that's fine. And you can do that. But doing that all the time is clearly not helping you, but what will help you is to be present and to be in the moment. And there's a lot of research and a lot of studies. I can't cite them offhand, but please believe me that there are, and it's easy as just Googling that, the benefits of meditation.
They've been studying it. I mean, there's so much scientific proof now that meditation is like one of the healthiest things you can actually do for yourself. It used to be just completely spiritual, like Buddhists and people would do it, but now people that don't believe in any sort of higher power or anything meditate all the time. Like Sam Harris, I don't think he believes in anything. Yeah, he's straight atheist.
That's right.
But he meditates
more spiritual. That's spiritual atheist.
Spiritually.
That's right.
All right. He meditates like every day. He has his own app about it. So there's just so many benefits. And like John said, you can Google it and see all the studies. But it's a scientific fact at this point that
it's evidence based.
Yeah. It's good for you.
Yeah, and for me, that was easy as just sitting down and doing, and the two main processes that I do, and I know Kyle, I've talked about a lot about this, is just sitting down, finding a comfortable place, sitting. If you lay down, there's always the chance you'll fall asleep. And if you're asleep, you're not meditating. You're doing what's called existential avoidance. And you're actually avoiding your problem, which I am actually no stranger to, unfortunately. That's one of my flaws. I'm actively working on that. But
you meditated on it?
Oh, Kyle, you bring it full circle for me. No, because I'm not thinking when I'm meditating. I'm doing breathing exercises, and you see what I did there?
You passed the final test.
Oh, I'm a meditator. So anyway, I sit there and and I really I take 4 breaths. I take a 4 breath count in and I notice every breath as it starts. And this is something Sam Harris talks about. And I focus more on my stomach, and then I breathe out 5 or 6 counts. Now you don't have to count, but that's really helpful to me, and that helps me stay focused. And then the second you notice your mind begin to wander, you acknowledge that, and you don't do it by saying, "Oh, there's a thought. I don't like that." That actually adds more energy, more neuronal activity to the thought. What you want to do is, what I do is I actually kind of put it in this 3D prism and I push it away.
Yeah.
That's how I have and that's me. That's my own idiosyncratic way of, and that's the thing, meditate for every meditation practitioner, there's a different way to meditate. Everyone
visualizing is really helpful. I do something kind of like that too. Usually I'm pretty good at just like zoning out and not even focusing on my breath, just like blank. But sometimes, like when your mind's super active, you can't control it.
That sounds right peaceful.
I know. It's very peaceful. That's why I love doing it. But when it is like going crazy and like I can't focus on my breath and there's just thoughts bombarding my mind, I imagine like a coastline like waves coming in, and then like a new thought pops up, and the wave comes in with each breath and carries it away.
I love that.
I know, isn't
That's
that nice?
beautiful. That's so there's a great book called Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life by Stephen by Stephen Hayes. Yeah. I thought I was going to say that I was going to misname the author, but Stephen Hayes, who's actually my professors, and sorry, this is going to be a humble brag. My professors actually studied under him in Nevada. Yeah. He actually took, he pioneered he took relational frame theory and created acceptance and commitment therapy with it. And so in his book, Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life, he actually talks about that visualization exercise, not nearly as eloquently and as beauteously as you have done, but he basically says, imagine yourself standing on a train platform, like on a walkway over trains, and that the thoughts coming are just trains, and that they come and they pass over you, you see them coming, they're here and they're gone. And that, again, is a visualization exercise to help you, in ACT, it's called diffusion, that I am not my thoughts. I recognize those thoughts, but I am what lies behind. And that's also in the a great book that I recommend called The Untethered Soul, which actually completely fundamentally changed my relationship with anxiety. But that's a whole other conversation. But so yeah, I mean, I love that. I think that's great. I love that a lot more than sitting on because I imagine like my mind conjures like an underground subterranean train station, and there's just urination and graffiti and
rats.
I mean, I'm okay with
maybe
rats.
You thought it could be a rat instead of a train.
Oh, I used to have rats.
Well, and then you would just keep all the thoughts.
That's the opposite. That's the opposite of meditation.
You wouldn't get anything done.
No,
John.
I wouldn't find clarity. I wouldn't find peacefulness in moment to moment. I'd be hoarding and grooming them and making sure they didn't grow tumors, because that's what they're really good at.
Rats grow tumors.
Rats
real
are
bad?
so good at growing tumors.
Oh,
dude, that's like, so I had two rats. I had Charlotte, like from what is that with that talking pig, Wilbur?
Babe.
No, yeah, but you're in the right zone. Charlotte's
Web.
Yeah. And so Charlotte. So there's actually a rat in that, but his name is Templeton, and he's not a white rat. But I named her Charlotte for Charlotte's Web because there's a rat in there. It's a simple transposition of the name. And then the other one was named Yulie, and the reason why is Eulalia is the name in speech pathology and another language. Pursuits where they analyze language of saying that something is language based. So Eulalia. So I named her Yulie. So it was really not really a nice, weird, kind of a weird name, but I liked them. And I had them. I inherited them from a friend who was moving to China. Yeah. And so, and anyway, I love them, but they're really good at getting tumors and dying while you're sleeping. It's terrible. Specific. Yeah.
How old were they?
That's a good question. I think they were probably a year or so when I got them, and then I had them for another year. Which maybe that's their lifespan.
I feel like longer.
They were both female rats, so maybe that's just. I would hate to think that like evolution has endowed these amazing creatures with the with their defense mechanism is to get tumors and die. That just doesn't hold up.
Doesn't seem very defensive.
No, it seems very aggressive.
Yeah, I'm gonna take myself out of this situation. So that's how you don't deal with being locked up.
That's right.
Remember that, guys.
Ooh, that's a great way to put that through line in there. That's great. Yeah, you don't let your thoughts become the tumors that slowly eat away at you at night and then make your father really upset when he finds you in the morning.
That was all planned out.
That was beautiful. That was great, Kyle. That's great. So meditation is something that's out there, and I highly recommend it. And we kind of gave you guys a few resources to look into. The next one is social gathering, which I think is really important. We've talked a little bit about. So I will definitely say, and I'm really sorry to admit this, but also it's just kind of like I did not socially distance very well. I'm pretty sure that the week that everything shut down, I had people over for a bonfire.
Yeah, that was terrible of you.
Yeah, I'm not proud. And
you shouldn't have done that.
No, I really shouldn't have. That was terrible. And I know that there was a lot of very vocal opposition to that. And because the beginning of this thing, like we talked about, it's interminable. We don't know what it is when it's coming. So like the C word. And when it's just a C word and it doesn't become a C lifestyle, it's a lot easier to kind of, put it in the shadows and on the back burner. But, so during these times, I think it's also really important to not become further isolated and insulated from everybody else. And something that I have done is obviously, I call up my friends. I have my buddy Kyle over. I have had people together, obviously observing the distancing rules are a smart and way better thing to do than what I had been doing. But I think, making sure that you're calling, like I try to call my parents every week. I talk to you on the phone every other day. I call my other friends. I text my other friends. I play video games online with my friends. Basically, I am not just letting myself kind of stew in my own kind of isolation. I don't think that's helpful.
No, not at all. And I was when I was like, that's a terrible thing to do. I mean, obviously it was, but I was at the bonfire.
Yeah, thank you for your honesty.
Yeah, I thought we'd circle around to that real quick. Yeah, we weren't as responsible as we should have been for sure.
Thank you for your integrity. Yes. I appreciate that.
Yes. So yeah, it is important to not just completely self-isolate, because I mean, obviously we're used to being face-to-face and talking with our friends, but I mean now the guidelines are 5, right? Or 10?
5 people? 5? I think
it just went back down to 10. It was 50 with a mask.
Where are people going out where there's just 50 people around?
Restaurants, certain adventure parks.
Do certain people just like have that social network where they can amass that amount of people?
I mean, there was at least like 200 at your bonfire, right?
I think you're multiplying it by an order of magnitudes.
Oh,
several orders of magnitude.
Oh,
well, that just makes me think that maybe this isn't about it's not about keeping. It is about protection, but it's more about socialite people who have all these friends. Like, share some of those friends. It's a lot of friends to have.
That is.
That's amazing. I wish I had that many. I wish I had infinity friends.
I couldn't deal with that many friends.
I wish I had.
I feel honestly, I'm pretty good with what I got right now.
You gotta go. I mean, I am so thankful for who is in my life and all the people and the love that they have given and I have given to them in the relationships. But I just want infinity friends. So why is that impossible? Why is that unrealistic?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not for certain people. I don't know. I feel like the more people you know closely, the less you know each individual person. Does that make sense?
That is really succinct, Kyle. That's really good. I like that.
Thank you.
Wow.
I could be wrong.
I don't know. I feel like I know I have a lot of the way that I think about it is I don't really have I have an inner circle. Mm-hmm. And if you're in my inner circle, I will always call my friends best friends. Like I love that term because it's heavy. Everyone knows it's evocative as a term. Everyone knows the intensity. If someone's like, you're my friend, well, that's my best friend. Mm-hmm. Like we're not just close. Like we're like
closer.
It's kind of inappropriate. Yeah. It's almost not socially acceptable to be that close. But but I want that. I want that with everyone that I care about. And I guess that's a problem I have. And or maybe they have. Maybe their boundaries are too tight. Maybe my boundaries are just fine.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not a problem for you, then have infinity best friends. I feel like that kind of diminishes the best, and then you're gonna call your inner circle the bestest friends, and then you're gonna want everyone to be your bestest friend, and then your inner circle is just gonna be bester friends. And when does it end, John?
Well, that is a stepwise pyramid, a stepwise series of plateaus that I could not wait to climb.
Okay.
So make sure that you guys are staying in contact, and make sure that when you start noticing maybe those anxious thoughts, or that maybe call somebody that can put you at ease and ground you, like my buddy Kyle does here when I talk to him, and he's very honest about, well, John, that just sounds like it's your mind. And I'm like, oh yeah, I hadn't considered that the thing where I think about things is the issue.
Yeah, I think I said that to you a lot over the course of like 3 weeks.
Yeah, you did. You're like, that just sounds like your mind. And I was like, yeah, I guess. That's like that's exactly. I didn't have a good metaphor there. So the next thing I think is really important, is nature. Now, the C word has came for us and found us all wanting, and because of that, it has there are guidelines. But for what I would strongly recommend, and there are so many there's so many authors and books that cite this as an incredibly therapeutic process, is to go in nature. And go for a walk, and not just a walk down the city street, even though that can definitely reset your mind and help you, kind of get you out of that rumination, that endless churningness of your head, because you're going to see all these new stimuli. But like what I really love to do, and what I've been doing a lot, is I have a bicycle that I bought quite a few years ago, and I slapped a phone doohickey on there that keeps it on there, and I play Pokemon Go, and I ride somewhere between 5 and 10 miles around the city, and I try to go to the parks, and I ride around, and I try to obviously steer clear of people and go around and don't touch anything other than my bike while I'm there.
Don't let anyone know you're playing Pokemon.
Oh yeah, and I also don't let anyone know that I play that. But I every now and then I see other people.
Really?
And you know what? You know how like when you're in a certain car, like you finally get like let's just say an Acura. You finally get an Acura, and then you're driving, and then suddenly you see everyone else who drives an Acura.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like that phenomenon where I play Pokemon Go, and then I'm riding in the park, and I'm like, oh, they are. And I crawl up to them like, how are the balls, my friends? How's the pickings? And they're like, we're like 15.
Like, you need to get off of school property.
It's just me in the ranks of all the high schools keeping these gyms in business, baby. Holding it down for Team Valor, man. That's Red Team for those who aren't initiated.
Boo.
Yeah, Kyle is Mystic.
Instinct.
Oh, your Instinct.
I eat glue.
Yeah, that's right. Forgot about that. So get out in nature, go for a walk, go for a run, go out there. And obviously if you can combine meditation or creativeness and, artfulness about that, obviously that would be a perfect combination. But I really think that, green therapy, nature therapy, as some people have referred to it as, I don't know if that's the legitimate, if that's the taxonomy for it, but I like that a lot. I mean, it's always so helpful to me because it's kind of like going home. It's kind of like...
I see. I've got a almost completely opposite viewpoint in that. For some, I hear a lot of people talk about nature therapy. So I mean, obviously it's a thing, but for some reason, to me, going outside and walking around on a treadmill are exactly the same. I think it's just because when I was a kid, I did not go outside, and I pretty much just played video games, and that was that. But I mean, I do stuff outdoors all the time now. But I mean, it doesn't. I don't feel like any sort of connection to the trees. Like going and rock climbing on an actual wall instead of like bouldering in a climbing gym really doesn't feel that different to me. You know what I mean?
I think that's fair. And I think that the common denominator there is the movement and the exercise.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. I guess what I'm trying to say is I get more benefit out of the physical activity rather than the location.
The location.
So okay. Maybe if it was like meditating in my room versus meditating in a forest, then maybe I could, maybe.
Well, I mean, I think we all aspire to be the yogi in the forest who's one with the bark and the tree people and, is wearing their linens made out of poison ivy and sumac and have just, have taken up roots, as it were. You see that? You see that? And so I think that, again, the through line there is exercise, which I think is a great segue into the next one, which I don't think we've talked much about yet, is exercise. And so this is going to go hand in hand, I think, with nutrition, because nutrition is obviously incredibly important. You will not... And I'm not trying to shift this into like an exercise-based podcast, but for my own experience, you cannot lose weight. You cannot lose weight consistently unless you follow some type of dieting plan.
Yeah, the motto for that, the best thing I ever heard that really rings that home is you can't outwork a bad diet. So
and I've tried.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, I've tried.
Like you don't realize it until you really look into the numbers. Like if you run hard on a treadmill for an hour, you burn 500-600 calories. And if you eat 3 donuts, you just ate 700 calories.
Oh, this is so good, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't just eat whatever you want and then just go work out hard. It doesn't work like that.
No. And if your diet is really is not the best, you are not fueling your workouts and you're not fueling your recovery.
Exactly.
Which requires a relatively high volume of protein, actually.
Healthy carbs.
Healthy carbs and fat. So, I think that, exercise. So if you guys are wanting a plan, there's a lot of obviously videos and everything online what I will recommend for me that has been personally extremely helpful. I just want to also go on record as saying we're just two guys in Louisville, Kentucky. When we plug things, we're not getting kickbacks or anything from this. This is just two dudes wanting to share our experience. So, it would be nice, but it's not very probable. What?
Shout out to Mott's.
I want to shout out to Mott's since 1980 or 1886, or was it?
I think like 1486.
1480, yeah. 1684
Mm-hmm.
since 1776. It's your go-to for assorted vegetable fruit gummies.
Mm-hmm. Made with real artificial flavors.
Oh, it's so good. And so for me, what was really extremely helpful was actually Michael Matthews' book, Bigger, Leaner, Stronger. And that is the male body guidelines. There's also one for females called Thinner, Leaner, Stronger. And it has the same program. And so for me, it's amazing because this is a guy who does have his own company, Legion Athletics, but he doesn't really he has that in there, but he doesn't plug that. Like he doesn't say like, well, you can't unlock this chapter unless you buy my products. It's all he recommends stuff that you can get anywhere. And it's 3 parts. The first part is an incredible guide to understanding physiology, anatomy, metabolism, and understanding concepts and terminology, because you don't know what you're doing unless you know what you're talking about and the words used to describe it. The second part is his exercise guide. I'm sorry. The second part is his nutrition guide, which is a substantial part, I would say, equally to the exercise, and it's all about how to create spreadsheets, how to track your calories, how to set your goals, your macros, and the last part is the exercise guide, which is there's a 3, there's a 4, and there's a 5-day plan. Oh, she's playing with a little hair tie. My cat Kirby is playing with a hair tie.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Okay, I was about to go snatch it from her.
Oh no.
Okay.
Let my baby play.
Let her live.
Yeah, see, she's like, Kyle, why would you take that from me?
I kind of thought it was a mouse tail.
Why
for
would
a
you
second.
take that from
That's
me?
why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be a different. That would be different.
Yeah.
Be a different tale altogether. And so that book was extremely helpful. I lost 40 pounds over the course of a year on that, which was okay for me. And anyway, I think that's a great exercise. But I don't know if you have anything you would want to recommend, or any guides or YouTube personnel.
Yeah, dude. The thing that is so tricky about like recommending anything to do with nutrition is, like, in the grand scheme of things, nutrition science is just such a young thing. Like, it hasn't been around nearly as long as anything else. So they're like coming up with new breakthroughs all the time, and like, I mean, saying something now could be completely different in 6 months.
And it's also so individualized.
It is, yeah. Some people, I mean, everyone goes about it so different. I mean, the main thing to take away is much more often than not, like 99% of the time, if you do calories in versus calories out, like if you're burning more than you're taking in, then you're going to lose weight. But there are easier ways to go about that, like intermittent fasting. I do that. Like,
I know you do. I still can't believe that.
It's not hard.
I have so much respect and admiration, but dude, I get weird after a couple hours of not eating. And I know, and again, what is that, Kyle?
It's your mind.
It's my mind.
It's your mind, John. If you just force yourself to do it for even just a week, it gets so much easier, and you'll see the benefits from it. But intermittent fasting, for those of you who don't know, you pick pretty much an eating window. So you still eat the same amount of calories you would eat like on whatever diet you want to pick. So let's say you're burning 1,800 calories a day, and you want to only eat 1,500 calories. You'd still eat 1,500 calories. You would just do it within like an 8-hour eating window, for example. And then for 14 hours, 16 hours. Is that right? Yeah, 16 hours you wouldn't eat.
I know you were looking over and asking the cosmos in your mind, but you were looking at me and I have no idea.
Oh yeah, no, I was looking at the plate on the wall, actually.
The painted over plate.
Yeah, we just discovered John has a plate nailed to his wall. That's a paper plate.
That's what it looks like.
That's been here for, I think, since before moths were invented.
A tale as old as time.
Anyway, so there's so many benefits to intermittent fasting. That's one that I don't think is going to change. Like, as far as like what to eat, when to eat, and all that stuff changes all the time. But if you can stay within a fasting window and go like 16 hours, for example, that's like the higher end of it for weight loss. Like 16 hours without eating, there's great benefits your body gets from that.
I know you and I were talking about that, and you say that it actually produces more growth hormone.
Yeah, so
when you do it for an extended period of time.
Yeah, so your body naturally makes HGH, which is human growth hormone, and your body naturally does that to preserve muscle when you aren't eating. So, for example, if you're going to eat those 1,500 calories throughout the day, but you're eating every like 3 hours or something, like what people used to think, and some people still think that's the best way to lose weight is to eat small meals, a ton of small meals, because it speeds up your metabolism. If you do that, it might maybe speed up your metabolism by a very small amount, but not enough that's going to change anything. But what it's going to do is stop your body from actually producing that HGH, which preserves muscle. So if you hit around 16 hours, your body's making substantially more HGH just to preserve that muscle, and it ends up working out really well because you're losing the same amount of fat, but your body isn't trying to break down your muscle to fuel itself, because it's used to that from just the way our ancestors were hunter-gatherers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool stuff.
That's great. I mean, the human body is kind of like this Swiss Army knife that refuses to let you just die.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's self-preservation instincts that, occur so far below our conscious threshold are just fascinating, especially because we utilize them in our modern society so very little outside of like anxiety. Which I think is a good circle around, so we started this conversation, with hopes of providing a window into our personal experience of what it's like to be stuck at home for an extended period of time for a very good reason, but without a definite end in sight, and what we have done to kind of temper our anxiety in our minds and keep us in a good place where we can continue to grow and thrive, even if we feel externally like we're not in motion, like we're, at a standstill. So let's recap.
Okay.
So meditation. We gave you guys some resources and some people to check into.
Yeah, I don't think you actually finished your thought. You might have, but you were saying that on the Waking Up app, if you email in to Sam Harris and tell him that you can't afford his app, he will give it to you for free.
That's
if you
right.
give him like a valid reason, because he's trying to make money off of it, because it costs a lot to maintain it.
Oh, absolutely.
He's more about helping people than anything. So like if you can't afford it and you need help, like just email into the Waking Up app and he will probably just give you a code and have it for free.
An altruistic atheist, who would have thought?
How did that happen? What?
No. So, thank you so much for finishing that thought minutes later, tens of
1
minutes.
hour.
Yeah, 1 hour later. Yes, that is something. And the other thing about the app, just briefly, is that there are numerous, if not dozens, of podcasts and conversations he has with other people and intro videos and just with amazing, prominent people in the field. So meditation, I think, is a big key to when you're stuck at home, how to get out of that mindset. Obviously, being closely connected and communicating with your friends and your family, people that you love and trust, people that can really kind of ground you and keep you there. Even if you have to talk to them, sometimes Kyle and I will talk for hours at a time on the phone, just even though we see each other like every other day, because he keeps me so grounded and so just very level-headed, and is definitely the counterbalance to my eccentricities. So I think that that's another big key is don't let yourself become too isolated on an island of hedonism or of neurosis. My island of hedonism became an island of neuroses. It was awful. And then, obviously what I think is helpful, which Kyle would say the exercise itself maybe is the bigger benefit, but I would say, if you are a nature nut, if you like going on walks, if you like being outside, I would definitely, and that's good because there's not other people around you usually, unless they're, on a small, city public trail, but, try to get outside, try to get out and breathe that air, not air that other people have coughed into, obviously.
Yeah, air that is 6 feet away from anyone else.
Safe air. And the trees naturally suck up and they create food from light and everything and from photosynthesis, then they create carbon dioxide and the good air, the stuff that and to me nature's, and we can talk, this is a whole other conversation, but I love going, but nature, it feels like you're going to the womb almost. It feels like going home.
See, I wish I had that, because I don't know why, I don't dislike nature. I just don't. It's no different from being inside, honestly, which is kind of sad.
That is.
I know. I see everyone else love it, and I'm just like, well, this is humid.
This isn't climate control in the way that I would prefer.
I don't know about all this.
There seems to be a lot of shrubs,
no toilet paper within arm's reach.
There's no mott's out here, that's for sure.
Not a single mott.
Not a single. When are they going to learn how to grow a mott's tree? And then, for the last piece is really nutrition and exercise. This is a great time, if any. I'm kind of falling off the wagon super hard, but this is a great time. I've gained 15 C-word pounds.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was 185. I'm back up to 200.
It happens, man.
Sucks.
It's really hard to stay on track during all this. You have to yeah. I mean, I don't really have the answer. I was that's what I did on my first Q word.
Yeah.
But on the second Q word, I've actually been back to it. I've exercised every day since. So I'm in a good routine for these 2 weeks. We'll see if it continues.
Good, man. Well, I like to be the foil, but also the support to that. I'm happy for the gains, but also it's so nice to eat chicken nuggets together, man.
It really is. We could just make healthier chicken nuggets in the air fryer.
Ooh. Okay, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Exercise, it's a great time, and I Michael Matthews has a great book. There's a lot of exercise routines and plans. I have a hobo gym that I've cobbled in my house. I mean, even if you're just running outside around the block, I mean, anything and everything is, everything sets you above zero sum. Everything sets you above zero. It's good. Yeah. So this is what we wanted to share with you today. This has kind of been the zeitgeist for the last few months, and the spirit of the times is what it means in English from German. And, I'm back on my throne again.
There you go.
Dude, I don't know how. I can't banish myself from this magisterial room. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to us. We're going to try to release these weekly. On Wednesday is the plan.
Yep.
So that gives us a couple days of recording and pre and post. That feels good to say that.
Is that nice?
Feels so official. We're in pre-recording, and now we're in post-recording, like Michael Caine.
Michael
Caine appreciates post-recording. So we're going to try to do this more regularly and keep it about an hour. That's the feedback we got. There was a good amount of time, and there's a lot. We've covered a lot. And as always, we're going to be open and honest and vulnerable and just kind of let you into our world.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, or if you want us to talk about anything in particular, feel free to email. We need to fix that email.
Yeah, right now it's Savage Discourse 12345@gmail.com, which sounds like a middle schooler trying to create a workaround so he can get on the bad side.
There's a significance to that string of numbers.
The first audience member who can crack that Da Vinci's code of numerical progression gets a special prize.
Yeah. So comment on that.
Yeah, please feel free. If you liked anything, please feel free to comment below, or to write to our email, or send us a carrier pigeon.
I would prefer a carrier pigeon, actually.
That would be, oh my God. So the problem with that, and this is the last thing we'll go out on, I would not send them back. I would keep them.
Huh.
So I would be the parasite in this social relationship. I would be absorbing all these feathered transmissions, and I would be slowly creating my infinity of friends.
Oh, so the question is, when you got the pigeon, would you answer the question, or would you just act like it never made it to you? Because if you answer the question, then they know you're still in their pigeon. Because in the end, you're still losing something here.
I think. That's a great point you bring up, Kyle. I'm glad you bring that up, because I think that in my heart of hearts, what I would do, I would keep the bird. I would treat the bird very well. And I would tell them that I received their pigeon, but they will not be receiving a pigeon in return. Thank you guys so much for listening this week. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.